Welcome to Mindful Chatting, a podcast where therapy meets real life. I'm Kristen, a therapist, business owner, and a lifelong student of what it means to fully show up in our relationships, in our work, and in our healing. Here, we unpack mental health concepts, explore mindfulness tools, and talk through the messy, beautiful, in-between moments that shape us. Whether you're a fellow clinician, a curious listener, or someone navigating your own growth, this space is for you. Let's chat. Hey friend, welcome back to Mindful Chatting. I'm so glad you're here with me. If you've ever started at a beautifully blocked calendar on a Sunday night and then totally ignored it by Tuesday morning, this episode is for you. Because today's episode is about why time blocking doesn't always work for ADHD brains and how to categorize your tasks by energy instead of urgency, and how to finally stop overestimating your future self magical ability to just do it all. Because guess what? You're not lazy. You're just planning for a version of you that doesn't exist yet. And let's get honest about what your real energy looks like. And then let's build a system that supports you through it. So let's get started with the strategy that's supposed to fix everything: time blocking. In theory, it's perfect. I'm going to assign every task a time. I'm going to build a structure around it, and I'm going to reduce all of this decision fatigue. And that's great for us, right? But in practice, for ADHD brains, time blocking can trigger this time blindness. Like, how long will this take again? And we ignore your actual energy and we only focus on the rhythms. And this leads to intense shame when it all falls apart by noon. Why? Because ADHD planning often overestimates our future capacity. And then it underestimates our transition time. And it relies on some magical motivation that doesn't really exist in that moment. And you might be planning like you're going to be this ideal self tomorrow, the focused, productive, emotionally balanced version of you. But what if she doesn't show up? Does that mean you failed? No, it means the system didn't account for the real lived experience of you. So let's flip the model. Instead of assigning time to tasks, let's try assigning energy zones to your day. So, bear with me. But here's how you can do this. The first step is I want you to first define your energy tiers. Everyone's are a little different, but here's just kind of a breakdown. You have your high energy, and your high energy tasks could be like creative work or problem solving or talking or even just showing up sometimes. Your medium energy task could look like maybe administration, maybe email, maybe just basic writing, or maybe even just structured planning. Or maybe low energy tasks could look like cleaning, sorting, copying, pasting, organizing, errands. I want you to define what's considered a high energy task, which it takes a lot of energy for you to even think about doing it. Maybe a medium energy task may feel like it's not hard, but maybe it's just a little tedious and requires a lot more brain energy from me. Or maybe low energy tasks is I just got to show up for them. So I want you to make a list of looking at your tasks and kind of giving maybe color coding of like maybe red's a high energy, maybe yellow is medium, and let's say blue is low. And I just want you to make a list of all your tasks and maybe highlight in those colors which one are high, which one's medium, and which one's low. You can even add a fourth tier if you want, like recovery. These recovery tasks could be like brain fog days, or when you're on PMS, or when you're just overwhelmed and you're kind of in that shutdown mode. Then the step 2 is I want you to audit your natural energy rhythms. So I want you to take the week prior, especially if you use any kind of planning system or a calendar of any sort, and I want you to just look at your week. And I want you to think about what are you getting done and what's not getting done. And I want you to see if there's a theme. Is there a pattern? Like, when do I usually have the most energy? I think by now we can kind of tell, like, maybe I'm a morning person or maybe I'm a night owl. Like, that's usually when I have a burst of energy, and I want to notice that pattern, right? And then I want you to think about, when do I crash? Like, when does my energy dip so low that I just barely have enough for those maybe low energy tasks of maybe just showing up? And I want you to think about, where are those dips? Is it like post-lunch, pre-kid bedtime? I just want you to notice the pattern, and I want you to write it down from the past week in some way. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to match the tasks to the energy. So instead of saying, I'm going to write something at 9 a.m., I want you to say, do I have a high energy task in the morning blocked, especially if you're a morning person? So when you're thinking about your energy patterns, if you are an energy person, well, that's where you're going to do a lot of your high energy tasks, because I have the energy for them. And then if you have those lower points throughout your day, that's when you're going to kind of schedule those lower energy dips where maybe you just have to show up. And then maybe the mediums are kind of interplaced based on where you have time, because this creates a built-in flexibility. It's realistic, and it has realistic expectations. It reduces this kind of shame cycle we get in when things don't go perfectly, because you're not failing, you're adapting, you're taking what you know about your energy and working with it. But let's get honest for a second. How many times have you scheduled something for tomorrow thinking, I'll feel more motivated then? I have, all the time. But tomorrow rolls around and then you just don't, because the motivation isn't a given. It's actually a bonus. And when we build plans around an imaginary future self, we kind of ignore the reality of our chronic fatigue, our mental load, our hormonal shifts, our executive dysfunction, or even our emotional dysregulation. So that's not a you problem. That's a planning logic problem. And the truth, your future self is usually just you, but probably a little bit more tired. And that's where these energy-based planning says what would support her, not pressure her. That's a shift, and it changes everything. So here's your permission slip. You don't have to build a rigid, color-coded calendar to actually be organized. And you don't have to wake up every day at 5 a.m. to be considered disciplined. You can build systems that flex with your energy and not fight against it, because your worth is not measured by how much you get done. But you can support your brain better by planning for a you that actually exists, not the one you wish would show up when you planned it. If you were late or like anything we just talked about today, well, guess what? This episode is a part of my ADHD Planning Stack series, and I am so thrilled to announce that the pilot course is officially open for enrollment. Inside that course, you're going to learn how to create your own planning stack, a layered system that actually works with your ADHD brain. We're going to use tools like what we just talked about, these energy-based planning. We're going to talk about what visual reminders look like, and even time anchoring. We're going to help build you a flexible, sustainable rhythm that doesn't rely on motivation or perfection. If you've ever said, I just need a system that actually works for me, this is it. The link is in the show notes, and you can sign up for this pilot course for free. But next week, part of our ADHD Planning Stack series, we're going to focus on something we all deal with, especially during resets: why you fell off your system and how you can restart it. Because we're going to explore how the nervous system freezes when that happens, especially after burnout. We're going to talk about the myth of what starting over actually looks like, and how to build a restart ritual before you fall off again. This one's going to help you reframe the cycle that you fall in and stop blaming yourself for being human. If you're still here, I want you to thank you for being here, for doing the work, for planning in a way that feels like care, not control.
You don't need to push harder. You need a system that's soft enough to hold you. So until next time, be honest with your energy. And as always, be gentle with your mind.